Asian compare. Okay, so this is under the headline embarrassment. Asian comparisons. The shame of not measuring up. How to heal from cultural shame. With the holidays upon us, it's not lost on me that get-togethers with Asian family members invariably lead some to feel inadequate and inferior.
I like that double negative. It's not lost on me. Open with a double negative.
When Asians get together, some may feel inadequate and inferior.
Wait.
With more contact with extended relatives, the conversations will focus on cultural expectations of achievements, attractiveness, or status within the Asian community.
And penis size.
Basically, like they're hanging out with their parents more, so they feel like they feel a lot more shitty.
Part of this includes hearing
size.
elders make comparisons such as, "She's hung, you're swole," or "Why do you not like him?" The comparisons are a form of Asian shame.
Well, I think that it's not particular to Asians, is it?
So,
although they do tend to suffer more.
I'm scrolling down. They didn't say she's swole.
Yeah, I know that because that didn't make sense.
Sometimes Asian clients come in with struggles.
Okay, well, I mean,
wait, hold on.
I think that that it's kind of embarrassing just to be singled out like this. Period.
Yeah.
But what if you had dinner? I mean, can you imagine having like Christmas dinner with like 14 of your closest parents, and what they'd all have to have different opinions about how shitty you were doing. It would be a nightmare.
It would. Yeah.
There's a deprecating, perhaps there's like a deprecating tradition in some of these families where it's, it's not considered seemly to brag.
Yeah.
So it's to
they err on the side of deprecation.
Yeah, to deprecate it's like it's like a sort of humility.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's polite.
It's the only way left to speak after you've eliminated neutral and brag. You eliminated bragging and neutral just by proximity.
But you want to mention the achievements or what's happened, right? So
yeah.
you want to draw some attention to what?
What the fuck are you guys saying?
So
right
like
now?
say that Mark Mark came in second on his exam, but I knew he wasn't that smart to be top of the class.
right.
You'd still get to know that he came in second, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What are we saying right now? That people go home and if you're like a drunken fat loser, that like some other groups of racial people are more accepting of that, or is it just like a full?
No, we're sort of imagining.
Or Asians are more like.
Asians aren't usually drunks.
How does Asian shame function? What does
Who
this sound
are
like?
Asians again? Aren't they like Chinese?
There's like they're like most of the planet, actually.
What a broad
Chinese,
term.
Korean.
I'm part of the Asian community. Do Asian people think like that?
Are you part Asian?
Do Asian people know that they're Asian? Yeah, I think they do.
I don't think that they do.
I'm
Asian.
like it's characterized by the epithelial fold, and I think that Asian people would say that they're Asian.
I feel like they'd say I'm Korean.
Asian people are people of Asia. According to the internet.
Well, the article you were reading, though, wasn't he talking something about Asians in there?
No, it
depends. Sometimes
I think that this is an American guy with sloping eyes, and that's just what it is.
You think he means Eskimos?
The yellow Eskimo.
And there's a lot of shame.
Yeah, there's a lot of shame. So, today my little son has taken to a new story universe to heart with a similar diversity of character growth lessons. The Parasite animated series Miraculous. Have you ever thought about showing Little Lord this show? He promises Psychology Today is the worst.
It's bad.
This might be our new thing.
It's pretty bad.
3 tips to use children's television to help narcissism. Who is doing this?
I mean, they get assignments.
They've
just got people on. Yeah, they've got people that are freelancers, and they throw them out shit every once in a while. They're like, okay, you do a little thing on the kids.
To help reduce narcissism?
Let's hear about it. We could all use with a little bit of that.
I just don't understand, like, who is reading this article all the way to the end?
I am.
And taking, like, any information. Okay, let's go.
I mean, I've gotten to the point where when I have a judgment call, like whether it's maybe a moral or ethical matter, I'll ask the internet.
Yeah.
Listen to this. This is written for adults, presumably.
Right. It's a content mill, maybe.
Yeah.
They make advertising money.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The students and citizens of Paris can now see the moment of their narcissistic injury, which started them on a cascade of bad decisions that unwittingly harm others. It is here where Hawkmoth's spell is broken and the evil little butterfly emerges from the villain's person.
That's genius.
This must be AI. This must be computer generated.
That's genius,
This
actually.
is GPT-3.
Now-
I guarantee you. This is not written by a
Hold on.
human.
Now visible, it is scooped up by Ladybug.
Wait, what? This doesn't say that.
Yes, it does, and is transformed again into its original pure and innocent form again.
It's describing what's on the television show.
Like the insight with which
No, this is
No.
AI generated text.
No, but who? Okay, so who? So listen to this paragraph now. Like the insight with which a therapist may confront a patient, the catharsis or emotional outpouring of trauma can resolve the inner conflict.
This is definitely it's
For the
AI.
villains of Miraculous, greed gives way to generosity.
No, he's just describing these TV
Intolerance
shows.
gives way to welcoming, and jealousy gives way to aspiration through constructive, mature decisions that lead to growth and harmony again.
Right. It's just it's a interpretation of a television show or something that projects these good lessons onto your young little narcissist.
So
But
if he's gonna quote a mythologist and philosopher, who is he quoting in this article?
Abraham Lincoln.
Rambo.
No, Joseph Campbell. You guys don't know
Oh.
anything. God damn it.
Shit. So I think that
I think that.
Quote
you know,
Abraham Lincoln.
Don't you think that's written
you,
by?
you guys are wrong.
No, I think this
It's
is
AI. It's got to be an AI that wrote that. Don't you think? They gave it a prompt, and then this is what it came up with. They gave it a prompt, narcissistic child, and then,
could
healing TV show, and then boom, this is what it did.
here's an interesting one. Do men hog the microphone at Q&A sessions? An interesting one for ourselves. This is supposedly by Renee Engeln, PhD. Beauty sick is her subline. New research finds women fear backlash for speaking up at academic conferences. Because basically men are fucking assholes who hog the mic. I don't even need to read the article. I can already understand.
No,
I
see,
get that already.
you're doing a man right now.
I'm looking at you though, Randy. I'm looking at 3 tips to use children. That's by Paul Dobransky, MD, the urban scientist.
It's
Here we go.
Invention.
Yeah, you don't think he's real?
Let me see.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, what is happening here in this article? So there's Daniel Graham, PhD. Underneath it says your internet brain. But then the article says reviewed by Abigail Fagan. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What evolution and comparative psychology tell
Maybe
us about
she's the real
war
doctor. She's the real doctor, and he's just a hack.
Killing.
He's the hack with the theory about the liquefaction of the world trade, and she's the actual doctor who reads it and is like, there's no glaring mistake in this, according to like the DSM. That's probably what that is. Yeah, it's just armchair like pop psychology kind of made into these digestible bits. So
this isn't a digestible bit. Like what? Why? Who? I think there are 2 explanations for why we can get away with killing our own so wantonly. One is that we marry our habit of killing each other to habits of extreme cooperation. As a primatologist, Sarah Hardy, with no A, it's just HRDY, that's a made-up name, or a typo, has observed human social systems contain a curious mix of characteristics found in other species. On the one hand, our aggressiveness and mistrust of outsiders are fairly typical of our chimp cousins. On the other hand, our cooperation and sharing are typical of more distantly related monkey species, such as marmosets.
And our tendency to have sex for 24 hours at a time is very much like the
bonobos.
Wasp.
While we inflict violence against our kind, we also regularly adopt children from other continents and build extended families of endless diversity in age, sex, and biological relatedness.
Not that regularly. Only in Hollywood.
So part of why we survive is that we compensate for our murderous ways by helping each other to mitigate violence.
That's bullshit.
This is incredible. Who is like, all right.
They're killing over there. I might adopt one of those Ukrainians. Like, there's probably going to be some spares.
I want my own little Eichmann.
I want my own Afghan. I'm gonna bring one home.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about that.
How about the guy in the U.S. Army who they stole those kids?
There's a whole story about how the Russians were adopting Ukrainian kids because
that came out around the time when all these stories came out about the Marines stealing kids out of Afghanistan, and then in the front page, because I took
I read one story, but
I took a screenshot of the timing of those things. It seemed kind of convenient that again, it just so happened that story just coincides with this other story.
With what was the Marines taking kids out of Afghanistan?
Yeah, and then there's a headliner because it's a perfect one. It's this like weird Christian dude and his wife.
yeah, it's like a really the story of
Straight
it
up.
is so long. It's like literally like 50 pages about
okay,
like how
okay.
they kind of like little by little found the kids. First they took the kid
First,
out.
well, they murdered
they murdered the family, and then they took the kid
out of the
in.
rubble.
And then somebody was like, maybe you should find out if that kid actually has a family instead of just assuming it's an orphan, because these people got families all up in the hills.
Hooray.
No,
So
they
they
definitely
found the
did.
real-
It
they
was a
found the real family.
cosmopolitan family. They were in the city. The Marine brings the girl over to them. They're raising her. The Marine is helping them out, saying then that he'll offer her like medical treatment in the United States.
She'll just come over for a little bit.
Yeah. And meanwhile, in America, he's filing adoption papers. He's doctoring photos of her playing with them in Afghanistan to
Gotta have that
her
kid.
being in America with him and his wife.
Right, her
Like,
at the
it's-
hospital, like coming on her.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fucking weird.
It was
man.
really
That's
weird. You'd have
weird.
think that the soldiers would have just taken the kid and left it at that. They didn't need to go through all these legal channels. But the things that they actually drew the family in and then like fucked them, like really head fucked them about it too. Like brought them to the States. Were like, okay, you can see the kid, and then was like, but maybe not so much. Like they just it was
Weird.
very twisted.
Right. And this was right around the same time as the
Wait, what
Russian
did-
stories of that happening in Ukraine. That's
So wait, what's the
Oh,
what's,
this
what's the
one.
co- what does the coincidence imply?
It just seems like.
But
So, for
There's
instance,
nothing
like
strange about that people steal children. It happens every day.
no, the strangeness is that like again, like what you're talking about, like. On the front page of the Times every day, it's a Russian atrocity,
Right.
Or a missile went off, and it's like killing one person. When we are just
No big deal.
we are again like just running drone assassination programs in like Yemen. Like we're literally at the helm of an actual genocide that's happening right now.
Right, and where's
And we
where's
don't
the
even
where's the
talk about
paper
it.
that like has that kind of shit on the front page all the
No,
time?
because nobody does, because it doesn't.
Democracy Now kind of does.
Does it?
more
No,
of that.
Trump ruined all those fucking people. I want to see this is what I want.
I mean, because that you would think that that's a little bit of the muckraking press.
Yeah.
That it would be kind of titillating to think to point out all the like the corruption and
hypocrisy.
and even if
Yeah.
you like were kind of exaggerated some of it.
Well,
that it
Trump
would've-
ruined them by making by taking over hypocrisy.
You couldn't-
of the mainstream.
yeah, you couldn't
So-
say that because he was
It just sounded like
against
you were
it, and then you were pro-Trump,
Yeah.
and so it just he ruined
So it made
discourse.
Democracy Now sound like they were pro-Trump, basically.
No, it made them into
Wait, why? I
hysterical.
don't
It
understand.
turned Amy Goodman into a hysterical lib like Sam B.
Why
or
did it make them
fucking-
seem pro-Trump? I don't understand.
No, it
that.
didn't. They didn't seem pro-Trump. They became New York Timesy, or like Hillary, or like girl boss, or
Okay.
Trump is fascism. Like when he's just when he's up there like pooping his pants and literally doing nothing. Like it was.
I see.
It was.
And
yeah,
they became shrill and sort of
and they
sort of-
lost all their like sort of critical edge to this like fucking again this just hooting baboon and a bunch of the
I thought he would take some of Democracy Now's points.
well so he did because he would go on to like
He would take their talking points also and kind of try to
You
take
know,
them over.
he was he was the only guy who went up there and said the Iraq war was a mistake, and then when he was like interviewed by like on 60 Minutes or something, he had one of the best lines. My whole way that I reacted Look at
to
this.
Trump,
Look at
the
this.
first time was
a queasy
that
dinner at Lvov's This is in Ukraine. They have these sort of themed
I wouldn't
restaurants
even watch.
where you go there and everyone's dressed up like a Jew.
Wait, Under the Golden Rose.
Ukraine, man.
They committed some atrocities over there in Ukraine in the Holocaust.
And see, that's why Putin. It's so funny because Putin's doing the same bullshit that we do when it's like, oh, we want to make the Afghan women read. He's like, yeah, we're gonna try to denazify Ukraine. And then he's like liquidating, Chechnya, and like it's just like everyone's using the woke card.
Right. It's
all
it's true.
cynical, it's all bullshit.
It's interesting, yeah, because it's.
But they are full of Nazis.
Well,
that's not not debatable.
The Nazi resonates for the Russian too because of the terrible loss of life in World War II that the Russians suffered.
100%.
And there were a lot of Nazis in Ukraine.
No, they're
in World War II. They were like
they're right now. They're wearing
Jews.
the fucking skull, like Azov Battalion, the ones who were giving weapons to.
But nobody.
They are Nazis. They're like they come out and they got like the death's head.
They're not making a big fuss about that in the press though. But they would if the United States were on a different side of the war, that we'd be hearing a totally different.
Shit, what did I want to
song and dance? But when Trump came to power, I told myself I wasn't going to even watch him on television for 1 second.
Right.
And I didn't read any news or watch any TV that had Trump on it. Like even if it was on in a place where I would leave. And it was great. I didn't have to think about that motherfucker. My apathy was like fully developed.
Yeah. Right. That's good. Your freedom from.
Trump didn't affect me. He didn't.
But he was good.
Yeah.
That's the Greek apathy.
Do you? Why? Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader of his country. I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world, right? Major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea. He's a killer, though. Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
Amen, Donald. Amen, Donald. He sounded pretty presidential there.
Right. That's Democracy Now!'s point right there. That they
exactly.
Had, and so he started taking
and he
it over.
undercuts it. It's like, because what did everyone freak out at Obama about? Talking to Putin. Oh, you you weakling! That was what Obama wanted to do.
I don't even understand why. I mean, why Putin is so hated and feared. Like why is Russia so constantly the United States' natural enemy? It doesn't make sense to me. They're just like us.
No, they're not.
Except they speak Russian.
Did I show you guys the video of the guy driving around with the bear in the car? Did we do that video?
There's a lot of good video that comes out of Russia, like absurdist.
They control animals in an amazing way. They live with like dogs on the subways.
One of my favorite ones is like this couple's riding in a car and they go buy some weed or something, and another car like pulls up behind them and these dudes get out with fucking masks and like AKs and like fully like aim them at the couple and like make them get out of the car and do all this elaborate kind of like bullying torment. And then the guy drops the boyfriend who's being threatened by the AK drops down on one knee to the girlfriend. He's like, "Will you marry me?"
That's pretty good.
It was pretty genius.
That's good.
That's the Russian sense of humor.
He's not gonna beat her senseless.
It was
when he
really
gets
good.
drunk one night.
Right.
Wait.
But I mean, I it's unpopular, but I guess I see Putin's point a little bit in that geopolitically it makes sense to take Ukraine if you have the opportunity. You've got access to those nice frost-free deep water ports that Ukraine has, and the natural border of the mountains there on the west keeps NATO out. And there's all this bullshit talk about Ukraine joining up with NATO, which if that's going to happen at some point, which it sounds like the writing's on the wall, you might want to send your boys in, see if you can get that taken care of before you really stir up the hornet's nest necessarily, and then it's too late.
Yeah, he miscalculated because it's a big country and they fought better than
it's a big country
than anybody would have guessed, and they had more desire to fight than anybody. You would have thought Ukraine's kind of like a worthless field.
Right.
But no, they don't care. They have no political interest whatsoever, and they ended up.
Well, I mean,
surprising everybody.
I know Ukrainian pretty well from this summer, and talked to her a lot about the war, and it was the sense of being Ukrainian versus Russian was very well developed in the current generation. I mean, it doesn't matter that it wasn't a country per se like 50 years ago. People don't remember what happened back then anyway. Yeah, like memories are short.
Putin had this long essay about like the history of the area that was kind of like his semi-justification. He's running like a failed state. Putin is. And
Yeah,
he's-
obviously.
he's
Why are
back-
they
he's-
so? Why are we so scared of them? How did this backwater of a fucking tracksuit
They've got a lot
take
of,
over our country?
They've got a lot of natural resources.
And
No, I
and they have
mean,
the
but do
nuclear-
they have any sort of capacity to like process them into any sort of meaningful good for their people? No, they just sell fucking gas, basically.
Right, which
yeah,
is good.
Yeah, no, a petro state. They're like a
But they're not even a good petro state.
Right. They've like 11 million barrels.
Yeah, it's more about the aesthetics coming out of their.
Free CBS News app.
This
But
is a good
so
shooting.
he had to
New
make the
information
land
from
grab
the
to
FBI
sort of
tonight.
fight
They say
off
two
the
men who
decay.
robbed a jewelry store, hijacked a UPS van, and got into a deadly shootout with police were already wanted for 2 heists
Who
near
was that?
Miami.
That was your dog.
Police towed away the bullet-riddled UPS van today. The suspects were killed, as was the UPS driver and a 70-year-old man in another car.
That's your World Trade Center
Hold on.
number 7 right there. Is that 70-year-old man?
No,
That's
number
there's no
7.
real-
Why did he get killed?
Okay, you
why
wanna know
why did he go down in this battle between the
because
UPS?
cops?
He just happened to be there.
We're taking cover behind civilians and unloading onto this fucking car.
I love that the 70-year-old man's a casualty of that.
That's so good. That's
good. I mean, there should be more of this in the world. Things are all
what
too.
cops doing bullshit.
Yeah, there's just.
What was the story
I mean, is
about
that news
the-
really? But it's amusing.
That's news.
But-
What was the girl who got kidnapped and then murdered by the police as she
We've
was
only got a
running
few
to
more
safety?
minutes here.
Oh yeah.
The kidnapped girl shot by cops.
2 more minutes.
Kidnapped girl shot by.
So
Police.
that's gonna have to be it for us. But I think
Hold
that
on.
I think that
let's go out on a positive note.
I
This article is hilarious.
I think we should think about the Sonobus.
Yeah.
Although
I think so.
we got to get way more organized. This was terrible.
This was a bad one, but
It was a bad-
Sometimes they're bad ones.
Yeah.
no. But
yeah,
hold
yeah.
on though.
This was a terrible.
I
Oh,
won.
yeah.
I like how bad it was. Like I would have turned us. I was trying to turn myself off while I was
Right.
here.
You're like, I'd switch this off.
There wasn't any part that was very good.
That last one was better.
Last one was so good. Like it was pretty good throughout.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
The tone.
What's his face over here doesn't not get a say. We're just supposed to anyway.
The
I again.
You have to listen to it, man, because it was so.
I will not.
You can't just veto it.
I'm vetoing them all.
No, you don't get to do that.
Hold on.
None of us get to do that. As long as
we need to be thinking about what do people want to hear? Like rather than doing
Hentai. They
something-
want to hear the sound of the guy fucking, talking about the black girl's dangling legs.
but that is pretty risque. I mean, if that's
But that's how we lead off, and each episode begins with
Right,
a
a
little
short
hentai,
review.
A short review, and then it's because now we're talking about the cops perforating a child, and I'm laughing about it. It starts off with the hentai sounds. That's a good show.
I mean, I think
He is not allowed to go up there
I was
onto
not
the
saying
dais
any bullshit.
and talk about how it makes sense that things fall and then just turn into dust.
I think anybody can say whatever bullshit they
I
want.
don't. I think that. I think that is. I think.
I'll see if I'll Google
I think
and see
that
if I
you're
have some support for it.
endangering the community with this kind of reckless, distrust in structure.
This
Like, you can't go into buildings because a small little fire is going to make the whole thing topple over.
I'm worried about the planet. Like, if a building falling is going to suddenly vaporize all of New York City.
Well, that's yes. And according
But
to
I'm
this
worried
man,
about,
we
like,
live in that world.
Right, like I'm worried about an unmarked van full of Jews and thermite coming into the city and vaporizing some.
I like the accordion fall too, where like each hits each level and then like pauses a moment and like
Boom, boom.
renews
Yeah.
its energy.
Except that doesn't. Yeah, that's also insane. Like the amount of nonsense that this man spouted tonight.
It's fine. Nonsense is good, but what's not good is when there's
he-
no way to understand who's saying what, and you guys are talking over
No,
each other. We'll listen
you-
back to it. It's cacophony.
Okay, no, it is because again,
It's like when I fuck up the tracks on the recording and I hear like 4 different conversations at once. It's like
so
that.
what you should do for this is just have
My
5.
points were pretty good.
No, they were awful.
They were pretty good.
Cut.
The only thing that was good about that was that you guys were screaming and interrupting each other. Was also what was bad about it, but that was
Yeah,
also
just kind of,
No, so cut it down to 5 minutes,
of just that.
and then just layer it on top of one another, so it just sounds like a roar.
Yeah.
It already is, yeah.
like compress it.